Okay, how do you turn this off? I'm gonna have to go figure out how to turn this off before I can keep going with this lesson. Be right back. Hello. Today we're going to be classifying triangles based on their angles. This lesson is a lot easier than the last one on classifying triangles according to their sides. There are two really easy things that you need to look for to easily be able to classify triangles based on their angles. The first thing is, first of all, you want to look and see if this is a specific kind of triangle. What kind of triangle is this that has the little box in the corner? Right, it's a right triangle. Yeah, so right triangle is pretty easy to identify. If you're not sure, or like when you're doing your Moby lesson a little later, tomorrow I think I put it in for you to do your Moby lesson, you can always take a piece of paper and actually stick it in, whoop, easier said than done, stick it into the corner of the triangle, even on the computer screen. And I'm not even showing you. So if you stick it in the corner, and it fits in the corner fairly perfectly, that's a right triangle. If one angle, only one angle is a right angle, the whole triangle is a right triangle. So let me identify that for you here. Right triangle. The other thing I like about classifying triangles by their angles is their names are a lot easier. So we have a right triangle. The next kind of triangle, whoop, is the kind of triangle that, first of all, it doesn't have any right angles, but the next thing we want to look for is an angle that is obtuse. Remember, obtuse is greater than 90 degrees. Do you see an angle in this triangle that's greater than 90 degrees? There is one. You're right, it's up here at the top. If I were to take this piece of paper and fit it in right under that top line, you can clearly see that this angle is larger than 90 degrees. If it was only 90 degrees, it would come down. Whoops. It is hard to hold everything. I think you can tell that. But this other side would come down right here if this angle was a right triangle. Since this is greater than a right triangle, this particular angle is an obtuse angle. Whoops. And that makes the whole triangle an obtuse triangle. Again, we have a good name for this triangle because it makes sense according to what its angle is like. So the easiest way to classify triangles, before I tell you the third triangle, is to look for the right angle. If it has a right angle, it's a right triangle. If it has an obtuse angle, it's an obtuse triangle. Now here's the thing, you can only have one right angle in a triangle, and you can only have one obtuse angle in a triangle. That's because the degrees in triangles only add up to 180. So if you had two 90-degree angles in a right triangle, that would be 180 right there. And you can't do that. You wouldn't be able to close a triangle that way. So moving on, you have the right triangle. Everything's backwards on the computer. You have the obtuse triangle. The third kind is an acute triangle. Remember, acute little angle, acute. So those angles are all less than 90 degrees. If I put my paper here, I can see that the angle is smaller than this right angle. If I put my paper here, and remember you have to check all the angles. If I put my paper here, I can see, whoops, let's do it this way. Oh yeah, no, that line, that side is going down here. And same if I check this last one. So using a piece of paper is really a great idea. To be an acute triangle, all three angles have to be acute. Did you see my fingers? I was painting with black paint yesterday. I have been scrubbing and I can't get that paint off. Yeah, I tried. So this is an acute triangle. An important thing to remember is that all triangles have some acute angles. The right triangle, this right triangle has two acute angles in it, but since it has one right angle, it is called a right triangle. This obtuse triangle, oh boy, also has two acute angles in it, but since it has one obtuse angle, it is called an obtuse triangle. But this triangle has 1, 2, 3 acute angles, which makes this an acute triangle. So here are the questions you ask yourself when you're trying to figure out what kind of triangle it is. Number 1, is there a right angle in this triangle? Number 2, is there an obtuse angle in this triangle? And then number 3 is just, if it isn't right and it isn't obtuse, it must be acute. I can't get that on screen. Good luck. I can't wait to see your flip grids on this one. See ya. Okay. Well, I guess that's a sign to stop with the ping pong and start with the math lesson. Okay, so I want to talk a little more about triangles. This is a right triangle I've created with lightsabers, obviously. And the way to identify triangles, as far as classifying them by their angles, is a lot easier than classifying them by their sides. This is a right triangle. You see this little symbol in the corner a lot. It just shows that it's a square, that it's a square corner. Something that's really important that I've said a lot of times is that if you take a piece of paper and put it there, you can definitely see if it's a right triangle because the paper fits right into the corner. Another thing that you can do is, actually what I wanted to tell you is that when you're on the computer, when you're doing your Moby lessons after this you have Flipgrid, but then the next day's lesson are some Moby skills, some Moby lessons. And right on Moby, you can take a piece of paper and hold it up to the computer. The right angles are really easy to see. If you have this little symbol in the corner, that's even better. They do put that on there a lot, but not all the time. If they wrote the number of degrees here, what would it say? Exactly, it would say 90 degrees. So the first kind of angle, first of all, to identify what kind of angle it is with regards to the angles, what kind of triangle it is with regards to the angles, the first thing you'd want to see is it a right triangle? Does it make a perfect corner there? But the second thing you want to look for is an obtuse angle. A triangle can only have one obtuse angle, and so if you had an obtuse angle, that is wider than a 90-degree angle. Okay, this takes finagling, but it's not impossible. All right, so here's my, that happens when you use lightsabers for math, as you can see. Okay, so now I have an obtuse angle here in the corner. It's wider than 90 degrees. Again, with that piece of paper, you can just stick it in the corner. And if that one angle is wider than that corner, that's an obtuse angle. That makes the whole triangle an obtuse triangle. So if one angle is a 90-degree right angle, it's a right triangle. So you look for that right angle, then it's a right triangle. If only one angle, all you need is one angle to be an obtuse angle. If you have one obtuse angle, the whole triangle is an obtuse triangle. Then there's the last kind, and it's an acute triangle. I'm going to have to, I had some coaching on this for my son before I made this video. Okay, so then if you have the three angles are all acute, it's an acute triangle. If it's kind of a little weird shape, they could be turned, they could be all different ways. But if all the angles are acute, the triangle is acute. Really the easiest way, as I was saying before, is number one, is there a right angle in this triangle? If yes, it's a right triangle. Number two, is there an obtuse angle in the triangle? If the answer is yes, it is an obtuse triangle. All the other kind of triangles are acute, and that's where each corner, each vertice, each angle is smaller than 90 degrees. All right, well, I hope that helps. On to your flip grid.